Imagine you're sitting at the roulette table. The ball is spinning, the numbers are dropping, and you know the feeling. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. Most people play on gut feeling, on mood, or on a quick impression of what might happen next. But you're not just any player. You're someone who wants to understand what's really going on. You want to see patterns, recognize trends, and make decisions based on more than just a hunch. That's exactly where Goldfish comes in. Goldfish is not a simple little roulette helper. It's a specialized high-tech software designed to do what humans alone can hardly manage. It takes large amounts of data, historical permanences, and current number sequences, processes them at high speed, and filters out noticeable patterns. While you're sitting at the table or playing online, Goldfish is working in the background like your own personal analysis department, doing nothing but watching, comparing, and evaluating numbers for you. To make that happen, Goldfish processes every new number in real time. Every time a number drops, the software checks which series are currently running, which numbers are clustering, which areas haven't appeared for a long time, and where statistically interesting constellations are forming. All of this doesn't stay hidden in some obscure table. Goldfish turns it into clear visual indicators, factors, and signals that you can understand at a glance. You don't have to do complicated math, no more tally marks, no more handwritten notes. You simply look at the screen, and Goldfish shows you where something is happening. One of the core elements of Goldfish are the colored numbers at the top of the interface. These colored numbers are not decoration. They are your indicators for potential hits, your visual warning lights for situations where something interesting is building up. Each of these numbers stands for a certain area, a pattern, or a constellation within the permanence. Goldfish assigns a factor to each one that tells you how strong or relevant that pattern is in the current situation. And this is where it gets really exciting. You should pay special attention to the red number. When that red number suddenly shows a significantly higher factor than usual, it's a strong hint that, statistically, something special is going on in that area. In that moment, Goldfish is essentially saying to you, take a closer look here. Something is forming that you should not ignore. Alongside these colored numbers, Goldfish gives you another key signal, the FP signal. This FP signal is like a quick strike indicator designed to highlight situations where fast hits have often occurred in the past. When the FP signal becomes active, it means Goldfish has identified a pattern that historically has often led to rapid, short-term hits. It's as if Goldfish is telling you, attention, here's a short window of opportunity that has worked often before. If you're the kind of player who doesn't want to sit and wait forever, but instead wants to capitalize on short, sharp chances, this FP signal is extremely valuable. The real power of Goldfish lies in the combination of these elements: the colored indicators at the top, their rising and falling factors, and the FP signal. You watch how the factors develop. You see when the red number starts standing out clearly from the rest. At the same time, you keep an eye on whether FP turns on. When you have a situation where the red number is clearly highlighted with a strong factor and the FP signal is active at the same time, then you're looking at exactly the kind of scenario where multiple hits in a short period are not unusual with Goldfish. Not because the software is magic, but because it consistently processes data and marks those situations that have been statistically noticeable again and again. Another huge advantage that sets Goldfish apart from many simple tools is that you're not stuck with some fixed demo data that has nothing to do with the way you actually play. Goldfish can absolutely work with built-in datasets, but the real strength is that you can input your own permanences. That means you can take real number sequences from your favorite casino, from a specific table, or from your online provider, and import them straight into Goldfish. The software will then store, analyze, and compare those numbers over days, weeks, or even months. Step by step, you build a data foundation that is tailored to your own style and environment. Imagine you regularly play at one particular live roulette table. You track or export the permanence, and you feed this data into Goldfish. Now, the software isn't working with some generic theory, it's working with your table, your casino, your history. Goldfish will start to identify whether there are typical patterns at this table, whether certain sectors are more active than others, and whether specific phases or behaviors tend to repeat. In this way, Goldfish becomes your personal data archive and analysis center for your own roulette experience. Goldfish is designed especially for players who don't see roulette as pure chaos, but as something they want to understand and structure. Maybe you're someone who generally prefers to work with a plan, someone who is used to basing decisions on numbers and facts, not just on feeling and impulse. This is exactly the gap Goldfish fills. The software delivers the data and evaluation, and you decide how to respond. Of course, roulette remains a game of chance. No software changes that. There is no guarantee, no perfect system, no long-term auto-win strategy. But what Goldfish gives you is a completely different quality of information. You are no longer playing blind. You can see where patterns are forming, where numbers are clustering, and where gaps are unusually large. Instead of placing bets somewhere without structure, you are reacting to indicators based on actual data. A major strength of Goldfish is how well it adapts to your personal playing style. Some players prefer a defensive approach, with small bets, strictly controlled risk, and carefully chosen situations. Others play more actively, reacting quickly to runs, series, or streaks. Many focus on specific areas, dozens, columns, or favorite sectors of the wheel. Goldfish gives you the freedom to shape your focus. You decide which signals are important to you, which combinations of indicators you want to act on, and how aggressively or conservatively you respond. If you're more cautious, you might use Goldfish primarily as an observation and filter tool. You watch how the indicators evolve over time and only move when several criteria line up. For example, a clearly elevated red number, a strong factor, and an active FP signal. If you're more dynamic, you might use Goldfish to react more often to short-term patterns the software picks up. The key point is this: Goldfish doesn't dictate your strategy, it supports it. The software brings structure and clarity to the numbers, but you remain in control. From a technical perspective, Goldfish takes a huge amount of work off your shoulders that most players either don't want to do or simply can't do consistently. Anyone who has tried to evaluate a permanence by hand knows how tedious and error-prone it is. Writing down every number, drawing lines and marks, counting streaks, tracking frequencies, it's tiring, it's messy, and sooner or later, you lose track. With Goldfish, that entire grind is automated. The software collects the data, filters it, sorts it, computes the key statistics, and presents everything in a clear visual format. You see where something interesting is happening without chasing every number manually. To make this more tangible, picture a typical session with Goldfish. You start the software and select your data source, maybe a live permanence from an online casino, maybe your stored numbers from a specific table. As you're watching or playing, the numbers come in one by one. Goldfish updates the top colored indicators in real time. You see the factors rise and fall. You see when one color, especially the red number, begins to stand out from the others. At the same time, you're watching the FP signal. As soon as you reach a situation where a strong indicator is present at the top and the FP signal switches on, you know this is a situation you can choose to act on. Goldfish is just as useful after a session too. You can go back through the permanence in peace, look at when certain signals were active, see how you reacted, check which decisions worked well, and where you might want to adjust next time. Maybe you notice you sometimes entered too early, or sometimes you waited too long. Maybe you discover that certain combinations of indicators and FP signal have worked particularly well for you personally. You can use these insights to refine your approach for future sessions. In that sense, Goldfish becomes a kind of training tool, helping you develop, sharpen, and stabilize your own style. The real benefit isn't just technical. Goldfish can also change how you feel while you play. When you know why you're placing a bet, because the indicators line up, because the red number is signaling something, because the FP signal is active, your play no longer feels like random gambling. It feels like a deliberate decision. That takes pressure off. You're no longer relying purely on emotion in the moment. You're basing your actions on a structured view of the data, and that matters. However, one thing must always stay crystal clear. Roulette is and remains gambling. Even with Goldfish, there are no guaranteed wins, no system that always works, no way to beat the game mathematically over the long term. Goldfish is a tool, not a promise. It helps you use information that would otherwise be scattered, hidden, or simply too complex to handle on your own. It gives you signs and indicators, but it cannot tell the ball where to land. Playing responsibly is still your foundation, always. Set clear limits, take breaks, and never play with money you need for something else. Goldfish supports you, but it does not replace your own responsibility. If you look at the full picture, Goldfish is like a data co-pilot at the roulette table. You're in the pilot's seat. You decide when to bet, how much to bet, when to stop, and when to just watch. Goldfish sits beside you, eyes on the numbers, constantly analyzing, monitoring, and gently tapping you on the shoulder when something stands out. Those top-colored numbers are your cockpit displays. The red number with a high factor is your warning light saying that something is building here. The FP signal is your hint for quick moves when you want to take them. Put together, Goldfish is a high-tech roulette software for players who want to work seriously with data. It combines historical data, live permanences, and your own number sequences. It uses high-speed processing to uncover patterns and anomalies. It turns complex statistics into clear visual signals. Multiple hits when the signals are strong are not unusual with Goldfish. What you get is a flexible tool that helps you make better-informed decisions and control your game more consciously and intelligently. In the end, that is what defines Goldfish: modern technology, clear visuals, flexibility for your own style, and an honest frame that says, "I am your tool, you are the player." If you don't just want to play roulette, but want to understand it more deeply and approach it in a structured, data-driven way, then Goldfish is exactly the kind of software that can support you calmly, analytically, and consistently based on the numbers behind the game.